Welcome to Weight Loss and Wellness for Real, the podcast where people like you get the practical solutions and support you need to permanently lose the physical and mental weight so you can feel better and live the life you want in the body and mind you want. If you're looking to overcome your stress eating, overeating, binging behaviors, and move to a place of freedom with food and your body, you're in the right place. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here and listening today. I've got a great episode here on a follow-up coaching session with Emily. If you have not listened to her first coaching session that we aired, that aired about 1 month ago, I believe. So about 4 episodes back. So if you haven't listened to that one, you might want to do so first before tuning in to this follow-up coaching session. And if any of you have been listening to these live coaching sessions and have thought, maybe this is the piece that I'm missing, maybe this is the piece that I need to get out of my habitual binge eating, my overeating, my emotional eating, then I would ask you to go head over to my website at heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen, and you can get lots of detailed information on how I work with clients in the therapy office, as well as with coaching clients on ending binge eating, overeating, and emotional eating behaviors. All right, keep listening. Here is the follow-up coaching session with Emily. Hey everyone, guess what? I now have an online course you can take called Mindful Eating Mastery: Overcome Binge Eating, Overeating, and Emotional Eating for Good. You're going to learn all kinds of things through this course, including the 2 principles you need to know to end binge eating, overeating, and emotional eating. You're going to learn how to create safety signals for the body so the urges to binge and overeat are lessened. You're going to learn research-based CBT and ACT strategies to change your thinking patterns that create self-sabotage. You're even going to develop somatic skills to manage emotions without using food. You are going to learn basic skills as well, including things like the amount of protein you need to eat, the time of eating, all kinds of things like that are really practical in nature. There's a whole bunch of downloadable resources, including research-based journal prompts, worksheets, cheat sheets, a daily planning template, protocols for what to do after a binge, and many more. You have full lifetime access. There are 5 sections, 12 lessons, and I included a bonus lesson on future you work. So for any of you listening to this right now, which is almost January of 2024, you might really be interested in that future you work bonus section. You can find this course, probably the easiest way is go to my website, heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen. And there's a tab right there that says online courses. You just click it and you can get more information. Right now, I am offering it at a lower price. As of February 1st, the price is going to go up. So get in there now and sign up for the course. Just a quick interruption to talk about today's show sponsor, and that is the Amino Co. Amino Co. is a company that produces essential amino acid supplements, and I have been using their Life formulation for quite a while now. Supplementing with essential amino acids has been shown to help with appetite control, as well as helping to support muscle maintenance and recovery. We really can't produce all the amino acids we need for optimal health directly in our bodies. We need to get some of them. They're called essential amino acids through our food or supplementation. And if we don't get these essential amino acids in on a regular basis, our bodies lose the ability to create and maintain muscle mass as well as bone density. And so making sure you're getting all the amino acids your body needs becomes really, really important, especially as we age. All of Amino Co.'s formulations have been tested in clinical trials, which show they enhance physical function and muscle strength and support heart health. I personally like knowing that along with getting in my dietary protein amount, I am also supplementing with the essential amino acids I want daily for my long-term goals of strength, muscle maintenance, and just staying healthy as I age. Some quick protocols to try if you want to give their products a try would be if you're someone trying to lose weight, you could take a scoop mixed with water in the morning and again in the afternoon, usually when you notice your energy slumping, to just really help boost your appetite control. If you're an endurance athlete, I know I have some of you out there listening, and you're doing longer than 1 hour of endurance work, you would take 5 to 10 grams per hour. So for example, when I do my really long bike rides, this is what I'm making sure I'm taking in every hour on that hour plus ride. If you're a huge worker outer, had a really, really tough physical day, a really, really big workout that day, then taking a scoop in water before bed has been shown to help with recovery. So since I felt the benefits of this product, I really want to share it with you. And because you are a listener of this podcast, you can try their products for 30% off. If you decide to give these a try, and because you could use some help with appetite control and or want to supplement for muscle maintenance and recovery, then use my referral link, which is aminoco.com/HH30. So that's AMINOCO.com/H30. Go to aminoco.com//HH30, choose your product or products and check out. Use the discount code HH30. Again, capital H30 for 30% off your entire order. Hello?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm good too. It's a nice early Saturday morning here, but the skies are looking just beautiful. So I don't know. It's just been such a nice morning.
Nice and cool.
Yes, that is true. But it is December. So
I know. I'm waiting for the big one to come because it's been too nice.
Right? Well, we know it will be here at some point. So
yeah. Yes.
Well, why don't we get into things? Can you kind of update me a little bit on how this last month has gone, just kind of where you're at and what you're hoping for today?
Okay. Things have gone pretty good. I mean, I have to say, there's only been a couple of times that like that binge urge has come.
Yeah.
I did the stop, set a timer.
Oh, you did the urge surfing. Yes.
The urge, yes.
Yes.
And then, I still did, but I didn't have as much.
Awesome.
I definitely didn't beat myself up.
Good.
Just like, okay, did it. And you just had a couple of what you thought you wanted. So that was good.
Yeah.
I have lost some weight.
Oh my goodness. Good job.
Which is good. But the thing that is like really hard, and yesterday I thought I did so good with my protein intake.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but I thought, start keeping track so you know how much you're getting. So I downloaded an app that I've used before, and I did that and thought I did so good, and I maybe got over half of what I get for protein. I'm like, are you kidding me?
So just so you know, you are not alone in that. That's really, really typical. That's very typical. So yeah, protein tough. Yep.
It is tough. It is and I think it's because I know I don't have to get it all in meat because I don't eat 3 meals a day and on meat. But I'm trying to like have some cottage cheese and use the Greek yogurt, which I do. I like Greek yogurt. In fact, I substitute Greek yogurt for sour cream and pretty much everything. I don't buy sour cream anymore. So,
yep, great.
So that's good. So I think I'd kind of like to get some better ideas on the proteins.
Okay.
And then just kind of the next steps to keep it going.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I kind of wonder too if my focus on trying to get protein in has like detracted my brain from wanting to go find something else to stuff in my mouth. I don't know. But that's not a good thing.
I was going to say, maybe we can just look at that as a positive, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But I never thought it would be so hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a tough one.
So with the so I'm gonna recap a little bit from our last time and what you just said, and then let's go into the challenges, which sounds like that's the protein piece, and then also moving forward. But so last time when we talked, that was going to be our number one. Protein was kind of your goal. You were going to try to get in that 110 to 130 grams a day. And you did have a goal of trying to lose some weight, which it sounds like you're on the right track for that. So that's awesome. And then you were also, it was that piece of after the binge, you were going to really work on being compassionate with yourself, letting go of that shame, which sounds like you did, which is great. And can also then, it kind of stops that cycle that we talked about last time when you intervene in that way, which sounds like you've been able to interrupt that cycle more and more and more. And then the urge surfing, which sounds like overall has been a win for you. So that's all really great. Now, with the protein, when you tracked it, were you around 50 grams a day? Where were you kind of at?
Yeah, it was about 50 to 60 grams.
Yeah. Okay. And that's really quite typical when I have people starting to do this. So let's talk a little bit about, can you tell me sort of just maybe on an average day, how you were taking in protein, what you were eating, when you're eating, that sort of thing?
Okay. I mean, I guess off the top of my head, I can think yesterday.
Okay.
And it's usually 3 meals a day.
All right.
Yesterday morning, I had a bowl of the Greek yogurt with some granola.
Okay.
And then I had, for lunch, I did, I shared a pizza with my granddaughter.
Delicious.
And then I had, I think I had a little cottage cheese too.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I said, I split a piece of pizza with her, eating 2 pieces of pizza.
I think that's awesome. Yes.
And then I had later in the afternoon, it's one of those Baby Bell cheeses.
Yep.
And then last night for dinner, I made some homemade creamy tomato soup.
Okay.
And had a half of a grilled cheese sandwich using Velveeta cheese slices, which I don't know if they're better than the other or not. And then using a slice of multigrain bread.
Sure.
And then because I wanted something before I went to bed, I did have a bowl of cottage cheese and threw some blueberries in there.
Oh, perfect. Great. Okay.
And then I tried the Progo bars.
Oh, yeah.
The free box.
Yeah.
I was like, these aren't bad.
Yeah.
So then they had a deal that was like too good to pass up on.
Yeah. Wasn't it like get 2 boxes, buy one, get 2 free or something?
Yes. So I did order those. And so I thought, okay, I'll use those. Maybe, I don't know, is it best to use those for snacks, or if you're like running around and you don't want to grab fast food, you eat it for lunch? I mean, it's probably not lunch.
Either way is just fine for sure. It's got about 20 grams of protein in it. So either way it works, snack, or if you're going to do a quick meal replacement because you have to, for sure.
Okay.
That's great. So, okay. So here's with yesterday, some things that maybe you could think about tweaking moving forward. So that breakfast piece is gonna, I kind of like to coach clients on trying to get like a pretty big bolus of protein in at breakfast, because we've been catabolic throughout the night, right? So we want that breakfast piece and that protein threshold. And actually there's real recent research that is just studies that have come out on this. So if you can hit about 35 to 50 grams of protein right away in the morning for breakfast, you get, everything is just kind of golden for the rest of the day. But here's the other reason I like to coach people and help them get into this habit, because then you've got a chunk of your protein in for the day. So it's not as hard to kind of like at the end of the day trying to get in this certain amount of protein, which can be really difficult as the day goes on. So one thing you might consider trying, and you have to let me know if me, it's like, it has to be doable. So if we get done kind of chatting about this piece and you're like, there's just no way, just let me know and then we'll try something else. But if we could get you in the morning, so you had a Greek yogurt, so that would have been about 17 to 20 grams of protein. That little bit of granola is not going to really count. It's going to have like 1 gram of protein, but that's fine to have it because that makes the yogurt taste good. Yeah. Right. But if we could add something to that. So I don't know if your stomach could handle 2 servings of Greek yogurt, or if you could do something like have the Greek yogurt and granola, but then also have maybe a scoop of whey protein, just shaken up with some water or almond milk or something like that, and chug it down. Or I don't know, do you have time to make eggs or anything like that? Or do you need more of a quick breakfast go to?
No, I mean, I have time to make eggs. I think it's always been that you get in this mindset of light eating.
Right.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, I just had my little bowl of yogurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the thought is like, it's doable, but you go, that's a lot of food.
Right, exactly. So let me give you some of the a little bit of science behind what we're finding out, because that might help your brain feel more willing to do it versus that resistance piece of I should be eating light and not this much food. So this has kind of come out in recent research in regards to circadian rhythms. And what we know for people, if you're trying to lose, so now you and I are kind of talking a little bit about maybe losing some weight. We're not talking so much about the binging piece, although eating a big breakfast can actually help with if you're someone who overeats in the evenings. So when we get that big protein hit, or that big more calories in the morning, what happens is, because we're catabolic throughout the night, our bodies are just ready to soak everything up. So if we can get over the threshold of 35 grams, well, they're showing around 35 to 50 grams of protein right then in the morning. Basically, if you want to think of it, like our muscles are just primed to take that in, right? So they're going to use it. That's going to help maintain our muscle mass, which help maintains our metabolism and just a really healthy state of well-being. I mean, really, muscle is health. And so you can think of it that way, that when I hit that in the morning, because of my circadian rhythm, because of where my hormones are at, it is a signal to the body to use that all up and to really get everything going just beautifully. I mean, there's been this recent thing of, fasting. And so most people are skipping breakfast. That was me forever believing that was what needed to happen. And now we're kind of going back to breakfast might be the most important meal of the day, which annoys people because it's always back and forth with everything. But it's kind of cool when we get some research coming out explaining why that might be important. Now, I do believe for some people, fasting is awesome. And if the easiest way to do it is in the morning, that's fine. But for your goals and where you're at, your best bet is going to be getting that big bolus of protein in the morning for your goals of lessening the overeating, binging, and trying to drop a few pounds.
Okay.
So yeah. And so just understanding, like, just like light in the morning is a signal to our hypothalamus to get the whole hormonal cascade going to optimize our health, our well-being, our energy, all those things. Food is also one of those signals. It's a circadian signal. It really affects. It's a signal to the hypothalamus. Okay, we're going to start dropping all that whole hormonal cascade for the rest of the day that optimizes everything else.
Wow.
So you can keep that in mind when your brain is like, no, you should be eating light. It might help convince it that it's okay to
So
have
what
a big
about,
breakfast.
so like I've done overnight oats.
Yeah.
It's one of the recipes that came, or some of the recipes that came with that Golo I had mentioned.
Yep.
And like it taught you add some, do you say chai? Is that how you say that? Chai seed? And
Acai, or how do you say that? That powder, acai powder, or
no, it's I think it's chai seeds.
Chia seeds.
Chia seeds. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so chia seeds, I think.
Right.
And I think it does call for like protein powder, which right now currently in my cupboard I have. It's I think it's collagen peptides.
So here's first of all, awesome that you're adding. You do want to, if you're doing overnight oats, you definitely want to add protein powder to it. But collagen peptides is not the same as
Okay.
protein powder. Collagen peptides, they're awesome for skin, uh, joint health, like ligament, tendon, skin, hair, all those things. But collagen is not it. It does not have all the essential amino acids.
Okay.
So it's not going to benefit muscular, that metabolism, that piece that we're looking for from a full amino acid profile. Now, we can get into the little nitty gritty here, and let me know if this gets a little overwhelming. You could use the collagen peptide and then add perfect aminos, like a full chain amino supplement complex, like BCAAs. That would help give you that full all the essential amino acids that you need from a protein. With that said, we don't have a ton of positive for sure science that that's going to work that way. So your better bet would be to get like a whey protein
Okay.
powder. Yeah.
And then can you add that to like, so I don't know, I have like a muffin recipe that I've kind of been tweaking, like
Yeah.
using whole wheat flour versus all purpose flour and throwing in the chia seed.
Yeah.
I mean, and throwing in protein powder, that's just going to be an additional boost too.
Exactly. And it's a great way to sneak protein into your diet. I actually have this is not a plug. This is just to give you some resources. I do have an Instagram account called Peak Protein Recipes. It's PEAK, like a mountain peak, Peak
Okay.
Protein Recipes. And on that page, I have a bunch of recipes with like baked goods that include protein powder. Everything's high protein. So, and not just me, you can Google. There are people with tons of, you can Google high protein recipes, high protein baked goods. There's tons out there. So,
Okay. And then that way a person can be shaken up what they're eating for breakfast so you don't feel like eating the same thing.
exactly. And especially if you don't want to make eggs, I can't even do eggs. I've got a little allergy to them. A lot of people can't. And sometimes sometimes you can't do too many eggs either because the fat content in the yolk kind of puts you over on fat, right? Like it's
Right.
almost too filling. So then you can't get the protein in that you need to get in. So this is kind of a little game of how do I get that huge bolus in the morning without feeling too full, like uncomfortable, and still feeling good, still not feeling too heavy. So eggs can kind of make some people feel that heavy feeling because of that fat content. So
Okay.
yeah, so I would say, yeah, let's break it down here. If you do your overnight oats, you can add your collagen, but more important, add a scoop of whey protein powder. You can, and the chia seeds in there are great. They've got lots of great nutrients. And then if you would alongside, that's going to give you about 25 grams of protein.
Okay.
So we still need to eat something else alongside that. So you could do your yogurt and granola alongside it. That would give you about 45 grams of protein in the morning. Or you could do something like eat like half the chicken breast that you had last night from dinner. You could have leftovers in that way along with, so you're just really trying to get that bigger amount of protein in at breakfast.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. What do you think? Like doable? Like, do you have sort of an idea in your head of how you could make it happen?
Yeah, I do. Now,
Okay.
when we talk about eggs, like
Yeah.
we're talking like one egg,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, this is how I would do eggs and how I've done them when I was able to eat them in the past, or how I coach people on eggs. Like I would just do one whole egg, and then you could do egg whites. Like you could add to that, but I
Okay.
would just do egg whites. It'll keep the meal lighter, and you'll be able to, because egg whites have, they've got, I think each egg white has 6 grams of protein in it. So you could do one whole egg plus 3 or 4 egg whites. You could do something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's doable.
Okay. And then I would just say with those chia seeds, if you start like doing this and you're like, oh my goodness, I am so full in the morning, uncomfortably, I would just take the chia seeds out of that, because those are going to make you feel really full.
Okay.
Why they have you added in, but it would just be something you could play around with. If you're feeling too full, you could pull those out.
Okay.
Yeah. And okay, so that would give you like that bigger hit in the morning. And then, it would make your lunch and your dinner and then snack before bed maybe a little easier, like not having to really struggle to get as much protein in. Because really, then at lunch and dinner, and especially if you do a snack before bed, if you're doing cottage cheese, that's like 20 grams right there. So you would only need like what, 30 grams at lunch, 30 to 40, 30 at dinner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
when
yeah, go ahead.
that, so like even this morning, like for my yogurt,
Yeah.
don't do the full serving. Should I be doing the full serving? Like they say, I think it's like 3/4 cup of
Yeah.
yogurt is a
Yeah.
serving.
Yes, you should be doing the full.
Oh my goodness, I will be full.
That full serving is still only about 20 grams or
Okay.
17. Yeah, 17. So yeah, definitely do the full serving. Okay, so this is interesting because you might really almost have to train you might have to work into this, right?
Uh-huh.
It's sort of like if you're already full and not having those full servings, this might take a little time to get used to. The whey protein powder will probably be your saving grace, because that really is not satiating in any way,
Okay.
but you can get the protein in,
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so
You're
think of
just
it
mixing
as
that
trial and error.
water in.
What's that?
You're just mixing that whey protein in like water or milk or anything like that.
Yeah, or you could mix it into your yogurt, into your overnight oats, anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And I do sometimes in a pinch. I mean, it's kind of gross. It's like I just sometimes mix a scoop in water, shake it up, and just chug it down. Um, so you just, I mean, I would rather not. It doesn't taste good, I guess is what I'm saying. But, it's just kind of like as you're kind of playing with this as a way, and you got to think about it this way, it's a way to really optimize how your body and brain is going to perform the rest of the day, how it's going to feel the rest of the day. And then you're doing it because you have these goals.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that, I mean, doing that, like you said, then should help to, do you ever get over the binging? Or
Yeah.
you have nice sweet spots where things are good?
So that's a great question. And it's really an interesting one. So definitely there are people who it completely ends, right? It's like
Uh-huh.
gone forever. And I can tell you, I have other clients, and when you get into this sort of research behind this stuff, you'll find not everybody it's not as black and white for everyone. So to your point, there can be times where there are those sweet spots. Typically what happens is then a really stressful situation comes up in life, like there's a death or a divorce or something pretty major or not so major, just something that really, or we have multiple stresses, we're just very stressed out. Typically that's when that behavior will come back in. And so how I kind of help people through that is understanding that does not mean like it's back for good or I'm back to all that habitual behavior. It's, how we talked last time about smoking cigarettes and that habit.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, you could think about a smoker who has smoked for years. They finally quit. They go months without smoking. And then they're at a party with friends and someone offers them a drag on the cigarette and they take it, right? But
Yeah.
but the next day they're not back to smoking 2 packs a day like they were originally. So you can think about it kind of like that, when it does come up again, where it's like, okay, there it was, but that has nothing to do with that I'm back in that loop or anything like that.
So it's kind of like having those tools
Yeah.
to go back to. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I just don't ever want someone to think like, oh my goodness, I haven't binged for 2 years. And now all of a sudden here I'm binging again and I'm back at it. It's not like that at all. it's like, yeah, you might binge here and there. You might binge, once every 6 months after you've but yes, you go back to those tools and you get back onto that track, I guess would be a way to put it. And then you can go for really long periods of time without it again. But with that said, there are some people where it's just they work through this and it's gone for good.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have thoughts on that? Any sense of like which one you might be?
Well, I mean, I guess looking at how things are going, I could see it being completely eliminated.
Yeah.
But I also know that stress, because I was a smoker
Oh, yeah.
back, and you know, and I'm talking like high school and just
Sure.
out of high school, and you'd quit because you shouldn't. In fact, I was told by a doctor that I should quit and not ever start again, and I, of course, did not heed that because when
Right.
we're, late teens, early 20s, we know everything, but
Exactly. We're not listening. Yes.
exactly. But what I would deem as stress in my life at that time, I would go back and, pick up the
Yeah.
cigarettes. So I
Yeah.
don't want to be like, oh, yeah, I've got this beat. I can do. I want to be optimistic and say, I can
Yeah.
beat this and overcome it. And
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the things, along with all of the tools you've given me, is the honesty with myself.
Yeah.
And then like I had said, I had talked to my
Yeah.
husband about it, and he was
Right.
the first person I had ever talked to about it.
Yeah.
And then I talked with my mom and my sisters about it.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. Yeah.
I was just like, you know what? I just kind of came out, and
Yeah.
it was an interesting conversation because I think in maybe this is everybody's families or whatever, but you always have somebody that wants to fix things.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So one of the sisters was like, "Well, you must be lacking something."
Oh,
I said, "No."
right. Yeah.
I said, "No." I said, "I'm going to listen to Heather. I'm going to get my protein in. I don't,
Right.
and I'm not trying to go back and fix my brain and whatever may have happened, but,
Yeah.
bless her heart." And I had to
Right.
find out in my mind forgiveness to say, she just wants to help.
Good for you. Yeah.
But, okay. And then I talked with my oldest son, and we were kind of talking about addictions and things like that. And I said, well, let me just tell you.
Good
And
for you.
I told him, so it's been, yeah, it's almost like this weight off.
Yes. Yes.
I don't have to be ashamed. I can talk about this because it's okay.
And it totally is okay. And I love that you brought this up because, and we did talk about this a little bit last time, but what you are talking about is such a huge piece of healing and being able to get into the space where we're not in that behavior anymore, to your point, because that vulnerability really takes away that shame, what you just said, where it's like, I don't have to be ashamed of this. And that's why I can share it. I can be vulnerable. And there's not consequences to that. Well, your sister trying to fix it, but to your point, you know how to handle that. That's out of love. But
Yes.
but it is that piece of when you said, I think you used the word something lifted. It's like there is a weight that gets lifted when we're not in shame anymore about the behavior. And that is when that true healing process can start. Because if we keep carrying that shame along for the ride, that shame is such a heavy part of the cycle within addiction, within binging, any of that. So that's huge.
Yeah. Shame, man. You never really think about those things being so heavy.
Yeah. Shame,
And
shame is that. I mean, I don't know. I think of it like a heavy, wet blanket. Whenever someone's talking about shame, whenever I'm in shame, like that's what it is, so heavy. And I think we talked last time, we know that gives us the biggest cortisol hit, that stress hormone, out of any other feeling. Like it is just a very heavy, heavy one.
oh,
Yeah.
wow. Well, thank you. Yes. Yeah, because it's been good. And I do think that that's kind of been part of what's helped me.
I bet. I would think that that's probably a big reason why, we're talking about a month later and you've had honestly quite a bit of success. And to your point, it probably has more to do with you speaking your truth and kind of just releasing some of that shame than it has to do with the protein amount you're getting. Protein helps regulate our appetite. All those things is great. But to your point, it is these deeper pieces that often create long lasting change.
That's wow. I never really even thought about that. Like the mental pieces can really affect a lot of things.
It does. I think when we're out of shame and we're in that lightness, when we're in that, I don't know, I don't have great words to describe it, but that state of being that's light and more free because we have been vulnerable, that shame has lifted. I mean, if you think about it, for most of us, we go to food and binging, there's a comfort in that. And so if we often are living in shame, whether we even kind of know we are or not, it's sort of like those urges to find comfort, so to binge or to do whatever the thing is that we're doing that we don't want to do, come so strong and so often because we just want to feel like we're not in that shame anymore. We're not in that heavy place. And binging or overeating or food can help us be in that space for a minute. It feels good to eat, to overeat, all those things. It's not till after that we're feeling awful about it.
Right.
But when we're light, when we've done the work to lift that shame and we're in that lightness, that freedom, it's just less often that our brain is going to tell us we need these other things for comfort.
Because the brain is kind of providing the comfort on its own kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. And because the shame isn't there, it's like we're already in this emotional state that isn't heavy, that isn't hard, that doesn't feel awful. And so the brain isn't constantly like, well, you got to feel better. How are we going to make you feel better? Well, food makes you feel better. Eating a lot of food makes you feel better. Food, it's just all of that stuff. So when you've done the work to lift the shame, it's kind of like the brain's not in that constant state of how do we have to fix this? Because you're already feeling that freedom, that lightness.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, really, that's the deeper work that I always hope for anyone I work with, because well, let's go back to what you asked. Is this forever? Does it, sometimes does it come back? Well, yeah, both. But for you with this work, you might find it is something that you end up not really ever dealing with again, which would be great.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's just, I think, and either, I don't want to say the other, not overcoming it completely isn't hopeful. It just seems like it's really hopeful to know that when you, like you said, when you do the work, when you put in effort and you, I guess, label it correctly and know, the shame is what the problem is, not so much an unhealthy habit with food or unhealthy relationship with food.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about your relationship with food, like right now?
I feel pretty good. I still have some little vices that I'm hoping someday, like I'm a huge, well, specifically Diet Pepsi.
Yes.
So like that. And then, I kind of like the dark chocolate with the Brookside with acai or
Yeah.
pomegranate. But as I worked with these things, with the binging and things like that, I find myself going and pulling that chocolate less, or maybe not many in my mouth at one time.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was just going to offer, I think that's like dark chocolate can be great for you. There's lots of benefits to dark chocolate, It's more if you're overeating it or not. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably the better thing. And then, because I even was writing in my journal last night and kind of in my mind thought of my soda habit and thought, I need to overcome this soda habit too. But one thing at a time.
Exactly.
We'll get over this binging.
Woman. Yes. One thing at a time. You want to make everything super doable. And Diet Pepsi is the least of anyone's worries. So,
right now. Yes. Yeah. Let's get the protein.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay, so do you sort of feel, I'm going to circle back around to the protein for a second, just so that we can have some clarity around that. Do you feel like you kind of have an idea for getting that bigger amount in for breakfast? And do you feel like you could get the rest in for the rest of the day?
I think so. I think it's still going to be something I need to think about.
Yeah, you have to
Uh,
stay mindful.
yeah, because we don't eat fish. My husband does not eat
Yeah,
fish, really eat fish. So to get like healthy in that respect,
yeah,
but maybe could I come to love maybe like those pouches of tuna? Is that
yeah.
something good?
Sure. Yeah. So I was thinking like yesterday with your half piece of pizza, and then that was great. You added the cottage cheese because at
Mm,
least that gave you some protein, but tricks you can try is just like, yep, you could eat just a packet of flavored tuna to get 20 grams in. Like, just so even if you're going to have pizza, you would add something else to that. You don't have to eat it with the pizza, but just maybe before you have the pizza is
okay.
awesome. Like, have that pouch of tuna, because also that's going to limit how much pizza you want because you're already kind of getting that satiation factor. So,
Mm-hmm.
so it is, to your point, more about staying mindful, like at least for a while until you get in the habit of, and this will get way easier. It's just really staying mindful right now, and having to put some effort into making the protein happen, but
Mm-hmm.
eventually it becomes very habitual. So, yep, bracketed tuna. Like I said, if you have leftovers from the evening meal where maybe there's some meat that you did have, you could have that again at lunch. Anything uh, you could do more cottage cheese than maybe what you had. I mean, it sounds like you're not eating a lot of like very. Um, I don't know if you're eating sounds like you're eating smaller portion sizes. Is what I'm
I
trying to
think,
say.
well, I think the cottage cheese, I think I was eating, I think that's a half cup
Yeah,
serving
it
is
is.
what it says on there. So I was eating a half cup
Yeah.
serving.
So
But you just look at like the calories on the Greek yogurt and go, oh my gosh, I don't want that many calories.
Yeah, that's all our diet brain mentality from years
Yes.
past. Yeah, for sure. And so, yep, it's a little bit about breaking those. And we talked about this last time too, those habits of thought, right? Like thinking. And that's why I shared some of the research with you with circadian rhythm. It's like trying to think in different ways about calories, about what we should be having, shouldn't, all those things.
Not, I know that's a lot of it. Now, so thinking about meats,
Yeah.
so like the chicken breast, that's going to be a good source of lean protein, right?
Yep. That would
What
be.
what else? Since we're not big fish, well, we're not even fish eaters. We'll
Yeah,
just
you don't have to do fish ever. That's fine.
um
Although it sounds like you'll eat tuna packets, so that's
I
great.
think I would because they're flavored.
Yeah, exactly. They at least taste good. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, but like what like I should probably be purchasing like leaner ground beef or
Yeah, and yep, and yep, so it's just, you can do lean ground beef, you could do ground turkey, you can like leaner ground turkey, any sort of like a lean red meat is fine. And I'm saying lean, I'm probably going to get some kickback on this because people love keto and high fat so much, but so I'm just gonna say, because the audience is gonna hear this, so I'm saying this for the audience, but it's like, you want to think about, for you, Emily, what your goals are. So your goals right now are to lose a little weight and to stop the binging habit. And so for those things, I do recommend leaner proteins, because when we do protein with high fat, there's so many calories in
okay.
that. And calories do still, they're not everything, but they do still matter. And so if I don't specify a lean protein, what ends up happening is people will eat protein sources, and protein sources with high fat are very easy to get, like ribeye steaks, like eggs, all those
Yeah.
kinds of things. It doesn't mean it's a bad food. It's just not going to be helpful for your particular goals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that was one thing like my sister had said was we'll start, cook with coconut oil. And then
No.
I
Oh
said,
no.
I don't want to fry anyway. So
Yeah. So here's why. Like, obviously, we still need fat in our diet. That's important. And by the way, some people do awesome with a high fat, low carb diet. Some
Mm-hmm.
people do great with that. But you always have to look at each individual, their goals, their preferences, all those sorts of things. So here's what happens if you start cooking with high amounts of oil. Now all of a sudden, and you know this because you had the reaction to your sister, but now all of a sudden you've got an extra 200 to 400 calories in that meal. So now we're not losing weight anymore, which is your goal. Now we're putting on weight. Yeah. So it doesn't mean coconut oil is bad. I mean, doesn't mean you shouldn't cook with it. It's just like, what are the goals? And
okay,
yeah.
that makes. So if I'm looking at my percentages for the day, if I want to break down my protein, my fats, and my carbs,
Yes.
what percentage of my day should be protein, carbs, and fats?
Yeah, sure. So I would say protein, you're going to want around 30 to 40%, probably 30%, 30 to 35% of your calories, because I'm thinking we had you lined up with around 110, 130 grams of protein.
Mm-hmm.
Every gram of protein has am I going to do this right here? Protein has 4 calories per gram. So do carbs. Fat has 9. Okay, so then if we were doing 30% protein, you're going to probably want to do about the same in carbs.
Okay.
And then the rest you could.
Nope,
I'm wrong, because we want your fat to be more like 20%.
Okay.
You're making me do math. You did this last time too.
So if we backtrack and we say fat's 20.
So let's do this. Yeah, let's do this. Protein, let's try protein at 35 to 40%.
Okay.
And then fat at 20. And then the rest would be carbs. So what would that be? 30 to 35%, something like that.
Something like that. So okay. So my higher amount should be my protein and my carbs.
Yeah, for sure. And sometimes I switch that around for people. So let's say you do that percentage for a bit and you're like, I am bored with this. I don't like the food I'm eating, right? Then so say that happens in 6 months or something. And then we were talking again. Often what I would do if you told me that, I would say, okay, now let's switch the fat and the carbs around. So your protein always would stay the same, but we would turn your fat into 40% and your carbs into 20. So you can interchange your fat and carbs however you want. It's like what works best for you. What foods do you like? But I hear your foods that you're eating, they're things like overnight oats, right? It's things like even yogurt has a little of, some carbs in there. It's cheese, so it's like I think your app that you enjoy, it appears, carbs probably more than fats. But
yes, I'm a carb junkie.
okay, there we go. Yes. So, but someone comes to me who loves avocados, they love eggs, they love ribeyes. Then typically what I'll do is they'll have a higher percentage of fat and will lower their carbs.
Okay.
Yeah. So just know you can do that. Just always think about keeping that protein forward. You want to be mindful about that protein. Carbs and fat, you can interchange.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can do that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, so we've got an idea on how you're going to keep working in some more protein. You'll keep monitoring your weight, I assume.
Yes.
Okay, because then too, if you start to notice the scale not moving, or, it's kind of stalling out, or it's starting to move up, then, you can shoot me an email, but let's try to adjust some things then too.
Okay.
How much more do you need to drop? Because you said you have dropped some and you didn't have a lot to lose.
Well, it's probably about 20.
Okay. That you still have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah. So do shoot me an email if, and here's the thing, it's the holidays coming up. So whether you know it or not, like really, I like people just to if you drop weight during the holidays, that's awesome. But more just to focus on if you can just maintain. And then once the holidays are over, maybe thinking about dropping again.
Well, and that's what I'm hoping. If I can just have a hold on the binging through the holidays. Like you get the cookie and that stuff in here, and okay, have a cookie, but don't have 10 cookies.
So talk to me. I actually wrote down a little note. I wanted to ask you about the holidays. Talk to me, and we've gone through Thanksgiving since I talked to you last. Talk to me about how you went through Thanksgiving and how you're kind of planning to go through Christmas. So hopefully the binging behaviors are not there.
Well, Thanksgiving, that was probably the tough time because pies and cheesecake.
You bet.
And that's where I kind of had to give myself that grace.
Good.
And so recognizing that there were those really good and tasty things.
Yeah.
I don't want to deny myself those things that I deem are good and tasty, but I think I want to portion it out. And I think going into it, like when I go to these family functions, I think I want to fill myself up with some good proteins before I go, so that maybe I'm just having little bits here and there.
That is a beautiful strategy.
Okay, good.
Yes, for sure. Anything, if you can get yourself to do some protein before any gathering, social, anything where you feel like you might be tempted,
right?
It's a great way to do it, because you're gonna go in. I mean, I would always want you to still allow yourself to have whatever you want to have. It's more like when you have that protein already on board, you will find you even think a little differently about those things. It's kind of like 2 cookies will satisfy you, versus if you didn't have the protein already on board, you might want 6 of those cookies,
Okay.
or more. I'm thinking of me. I'm like, I want 10 of those cookies,
No, that's no, that's me.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So you get it. Yeah. So
Totally.
that's a beautiful strategy.
Okay. So that is going to be my thought process going in, not to deny myself, but prepare myself.
Oh, I love that.
With protein.
Prepare, don't deny.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I need to do a podcast with that title. I love it. Gonna steal it.
Hey, by all means, because you have like totally helped me so much.
Good.
This is just, yeah.
Awesome. I'm so glad. Okay, so that really could be the only strategy you need for going into Christmas time here. So it's just like, prepare, don't deny, definitely allow yourself those things you want, but just your goal you're going to work at just having protein on board beforehand, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you do well then, like, let's say you go to a family gathering and there's all the things, or you bake cookies and the cookies are at your house, like, do you feel like you do okay in the evenings right now, like if things are at the home?
So far I think so. I mean, I know like I had made some chocolate chip cookies a month or so ago, and what I tend to do is like freeze them just because they don't go so bad.
Right.
And actually, like, I would go in there and I would have 3-4 cookies,
Right.
and I have not done that. So I think I can do it, but I also feel like if I can't, I'm gonna be okay with not.
I love that. Yeah.
I have to be okay with that. And my husband doesn't like everything I like anyway. So if it's not here, it's not like he's going to feel like, well, I can't have it. That's not fair.
Oh, good.
So, yeah.
Okay. That is awesome. You know what's so interesting? I'm guessing, well, I'm not even going to guess. I know this to be true. I'm listening to you, and you are so great at you're not using words like, I can't have these things, or I should never you're doing the opposite. You are literally saying, if I decide to do that or have those things, or that happens, I need to be okay with that. I am going to be okay with that. I've practiced being okay with that. I think you really have let go of that shame piece of, if you were to overeat or if you were to have a binge. And that probably, back to what we were talking about, is really what is keeping you from going into the freezer for all those cookies, as an example.
Oh, wow.
So stay in that space is my point.
Okay.
And like, yes, I want you practicing the protein before you have the cookies, and all that stuff is great. But the bigger piece of it is to really stay in that space of, I can have whatever I want. Like there isn't restriction here. And that calmness, that giving your brain and body almost like, it's almost like a safety signal, because we can have whatever we want. I'm not going to deny us, all of that is what paradoxically keeps us then out of tension, out of stress. And so therefore we actually eat the things less. We binge less. It's less intense. So really important to stay in that frame of mind.
Because otherwise, if you're saying you can't have it, you can't have it, want it more kind of thing.
Absolutely. It really is that old adage of, what we resist persists. And then also most of us with some binging, overeating, using food behaviors, many of us have almost this little rebel part to us. And I use a lot of internal family systems theory when I'm working with therapy clients, but also coaching clients. And that's a kind of a theory. I won't go too much into it, but where we all have parts of us within us, like all the little different voices that we get, so most of us have that rebel part of us, where if the part of us the wise mind part of us, who is like, well, this wouldn't be our wise mind, this would be the demanding part of us that's like, you shouldn't have those things, you cannot have that, you can't eat that, that rebel part comes up and it's like, oh yeah, watch me, like I'm having that, so we end up, when we set those real strict restrictions with ourselves, we almost always end up in tension within our bodies, feeling stress, because we have sort of these very stringent rules. We actually, a part of us wants the thing, but now we have all these rules in place, we're in tension. And then to release the tension, the brain will be like, well, now go eat, like eat the food, because that's what's going to release it. Or the rebel part of us is like, oh yeah, I'm going to eat, so we have all these parts that kind of get us into that space of overeating again or binging again. But as long as we can stay very chill, very cool about it, I can have whatever I want when I want it. I'm an adult, I get to make those decisions. Typically that will keep us in less tension, less stress, less cortisol, all the things. And it's way easier to stay away from the binging.
Oh, wow. And that's really to me, that's kind of some like cool science.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I love that stuff too, for sure. I mean, our brains are just amazing in how they work. And, we just have to almost be smarter than our brains in a way.
Yeah.
When it comes to things like this. Yeah. Yeah. But we can totally work with our brain, and, we can figure out these ways that help us behave in the ways we want to behave in, but where it feels a lot less, it's more effortless. It doesn't feel as hard.
That's the key. Yeah. Making
Yeah.
it not.
Right? Yeah. Because otherwise we're always given. Most of us don't have the I mean, willpower is energy. And so willpower is very finite for most of us. We have the energy, we're not going to have the willpower. Willpower is usually gone by 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, that's just the truth for most of us as humans. We don't have that energy reserve anymore. So we really, with stuff like this, can't rely on willpower. We need other ways to change our behavior.
Oh, wow. I guess that makes sense though. I mean,
yeah, it does. There's been lots of studies done on willpower. Super interesting. Bottom line, yeah, by 3 or 4 o'clock for most of us, it's gone. So we got to figure out other ways to change this.
Yeah, find other strategies because
That's
the
right.
power's
That's
gone.
right. Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, anything else you want us to touch on, or you want to wrap up on, or you feel like you have enough to move forward with?
Right now, I feel like I have enough to move forward with. I think.
Okay.
And it's nice to hear that the strategies that I'm trying to employ are positive strategies and
Absolutely.
should be beneficial. So thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah. Well, I think you're doing a fantastic job. Super proud of you. And I will just end by reiterating that piece of, more than anything, your most important work is to stay out of that shame and stay in that vulnerability piece. Because I think that more than anything is what's keeping you out of the habit of binging.
Will do.
All
It
right.
feels so much better. I gotta just put that out there. When you're not in shame, it feels
Yeah.
so much better.
Oh, it's the truth. I love it. I love it for you. All right. Well, I will, let's catch up again, maybe in a month or so. I will email you and let's find another time to talk, see how you're doing.
That sounds perfect. Thank you so much. Have a Merry Christmas.
Yes, you too. Merry Christmas.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Did you know you can find a lot more help from me on my website? Go to heatherheynen.com. Heynen is spelled Heynen, and get in touch with questions on all things I offer, like online courses for overeating, weight loss, goal attainment, and also my coaching and counseling services. Just a reminder that this podcast represents my own opinions. The content here should not be taken as medical advice. The content here is for educational and informational purposes only. Please consult your doctor or healthcare professional for any individual medical questions you may have.